Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Hope you guys are doing well wherever you are in the world. Today's video is going to be about the tariffs, and I'm sure you've heard enough about those. And I'm not going to pretend to know a lot about tariffs, but I'll relay to you what I see in what I believe are biblical this is a biblical issue, and I wonder if it's the black horse. There's a lot of people that are going to say a lot of different things about that, and people are going to use their theology, and they're going to use all sorts of stuff against me. But in any case, I'm gonna get to that. I'm not well. Please pray for me. I have a sinus infection. I said that in a video about five days ago. It's been on and off. For me in my life, it's just one thing after the other, right? So I'll be dealing with a kidney stone, and then bam, I'll hit with a sinus infection, and then all the other things I deal with. Man, holy, I feel really tired. I don't know if you've ever had sinusitis, so I guess that's what this is. It's like suction sinusitis, where your face, your bones feel like they're being crushed in your face. So that's happening right now. There's something wrong with my camera there. So there's been so much on the news about tariffs. And I don't think that, whether this glorifies God or not, this is my intention. I haven't been, because of university, I haven't been in a lot of scripture lately, but I have listened to a lot of Christian videos. I tend to get my best ideas when I read a lot of scripture, and I haven't been able to lately. So, in any case, this is informative to know what's coming, right? So, man, I'm suffering in this, so just bear with me. Let's think about this first. My beliefs are, well, now my voice is going, my belief is, and I don't make it a secret in any of my videos, I've shown overwhelming evidence in about probably about 7 or 8 videos, that Donald Trump is the Antichrist of the Bible, and that Elon Musk, who makes fire come down from heaven, is a false prophet. And they came together at a very strange time, and it fits. You can look at Donald Trump trading cards. Go look at them. He designed them. It shows him on a red horse, a white horse, a black horse, I believe all of those. He's holding scales in his hand, another one a sword in his hand. Do you get the point? He worships Apollo. Would he tell you? He makes those hand signals all the time when he's sitting down. The as above, so below symbol. Pharaoh. Those symbols. So him and Elon Musk both make them when they are sitting down, but Trump overwhelmingly, and he also does this. He lives in the building that's 666 feet tall when he's in New York City, which he was for a long time. Don't listen to Wikipedia, they're wrong. The architect said it's 666 feet tall. He lives on the 66th floor. Jared Kushner is Jewish son-in-law, bought 666 Pennsylvania Avenue. Do you think God's pointing us towards something? Do you think those are all just coincidences? And then on the 6th floor of the Trump Tower, which I'm talking about, from the 6th to the 12th, so that's 6 up, 6 across, and 6 out, is the inverted triangle, the fertility. It means many different things, as I just described. So what I'm talking about is not empty. But and it may be completely empty to someone who doesn't have spiritual discernment, as the Bible says. They don't understand because it's spiritually discerned. I'll start with that. Maybe there is more that I want to say. Do you know another man that makes fire come down from heaven and miracles and cures people of their blindness and paralyzation? He's going to. He's certainly on his way. The things that chip is doing. What are the mathematical biblical chances? You tell me that of all things, Neuralink, which will change how we think, it could enslave us if forced upon people. But in any case, in Greek gematria equals 666. Go on Google, go to a Greek gematria calculator, and put in Neuralink, spell it correctly, and it comes up to 666. That's where I'm going to leave those. I already understand who both of these men are. They're not men. They are false. They're in place of. So let's start here. As you can see from verily, I tell you, as you can see from early videos of Donald Trump, he's talking about, like on the Oprah Winfrey show, if you look way back, about the unfairness of tariffs and now there's always going to be a trade deficit between a country. You know, you can't have complete equity. You can't have, you know, you made $100 million more, like, you know, like this is what happens. 1 year a country, or maybe even 2 or 3 years, a country will have a deficit that's higher than the other country you're trading with, and it may shift back and forth. But there's also other things to consider, like us, Canada, giving the US a massive discount in the oil that you need, or your country will grind to a halt. Hydroelectric and all types of, I don't know if they're talking about media but it equates if you add those parts of it up. And yes, hey, if there's a deficit, there's a deficit, but it's not like he says. First he says it's 50 billion, then he goes up to 100, he went all the way up to 300 billion. It's not even true. It's more like 60 to 70. But he does this. Trump does. He repeats things so many times because he understands if you do that, it sticks. People believe it. And I feel sorry for the Trump supporters, and especially the Christian Trump supporters. To get a more thorough in-depth of these tariffs and how it's just going to destroy America, watch the video that I attach. Very interesting. I don't know if this man is a propagandist, but he's certainly speaking a lot of truth. He's very intelligent in these matters, and a lot of different matters. Like a good analyst. Listen to what he says. He believes that this is the end result of this will be a wealth transfer. That probably all these tariffs are going to be paid by the American people, and it's going to end up going to the rich. I believe it. So this is how this is seen, okay? So he shows a chart, whether or not the chart, you know, the big chart that Trump showed of the deficits, the tariff deficits between different countries. And listen, I'll be the first to say this, that it angers me, because we make American cars, we help design certain things in Canada. We're intertwined, the Canada and the US, but we're not the same though. Unless you're a brother and sister. I don't know what year it was. We win the war, right? Both in the Pacific and in Europe, which had to be done. And then America brought Japanese, and even if it wasn't for America, the States, Japan wouldn't be what it is today. Either would China, especially. Today, do me a favor when you walk out your door and do this. Go to a parking lot. If you're in an apartment, go in your parking garage. Take a 10-minute walk and go look at all the different cars. Everywhere you go, look at all the technology that other people have that you have. So what you're going to see is Honda, Subaru. You're going to see all the Asian brands. Nissan. You're going to see all Lexus, all the side brands that they have. Infiniti. You're going to see all these companies. Volkswagen, right? Porsche, Audi, all those types. You're going to see them all completely, especially the Asian market. But I see the German market certainly coming up in more affordable cars. That's all they are. Like where I live, you hardly see American cars anymore. And it's the same with electronics. Samsung. I'm not going to go further because I'm sure you understand. And that part does make me a bit angry. Because just think of the wealth that Japan and Germany and all these enjoy from being able to put it both in the European market, their own market, but then to go to all of North America and it's just like an open day. It's just completely open. That is very, very unfair. And I understand that part. And before I ever heard it from him, I already understood that, and I thought it was really unfair. So it is. So there certainly are unfair practices, and that's not about being completely reciprocal, because you can never have that, but you can strive for that, right? To have good business relations that way. So let's move on to this next. My face, man. I believe, as many people do, it's amazing how many so-called sane people. I mean, what Christian doesn't believe that the you know what that came around in 2019, 2020 wasn't planned? Considering that, you don't think either if it was or not that they didn't know that by doing so would both create a panic, keep people inside, shut down small businesses. And whether or not what you believe, what happened cannot be disputed. Tens of thousands, if not over 100,000 small businesses went out of business. I started making pure beeswax candles, started making my little company, and it was before then, and it was starting to do well, and I had them in someone's store too. And when it came by, the sales went really way down. People were trying to conserve their money and stuff like that. Pardon me. People were trying to conserve their money, obviously, because they didn't know what was going to happen next. You don't think they knew what methodically that they didn't already know that the big box places, what I mean is mega places, Amazon, Costco, Walmart, and whatever other places were needed. Think also about this. Netflix, all the things that people will be trapped indoors. You'd have to watch TV. Alcohol. I can tell you this, that in my apartment building, I help a person who they collect bottles around this building and probably other places. They got a lot of bottles. I'm in an apartment that complex that has like 5 buildings attached underground, and you can walk around and go and look at all things that they throw out, really good stuff, bottles, all that type of stuff. So I help this guy collect them because he gives it to the Heart Foundation. And during then, I started to see at least triple the amount of bottles. Do you not think that they knew that this was going to happen? And so you can look this up. I don't know. They tend to scrub the internet of things they don't want people to know. And it was a big biggest wealth transfer in all of human history. And there may be one even bigger coming, but that's for another time. But this does have to do with the Bible. You have to understand what is happening in our world. So I believe it was like Amazon made like $200 billion within a number of months. $200 billion. Imagine what you could do with that. It's estimated that $5 billion is all that is needed to feed all of Africa for 1 year. He made that in a few months off of us. I am not a believer. I believe there should be a law that you cannot have more than a couple $1 billion. I just don't think it's proper because it takes away from the people. And I don't mean like AOC, transfer the wealth evenly. I don't mean that. There must come a point where it takes away from people. And that's what's happening. Not only that, but they want even more power because they're psycho. They want to play around. So now you know that. It was the same for all the other stores as well. Costco. And what you got was complete price gouging. And just horrible stuff, man. It's still that way. Even when our society still appears stable, they kept those prices the same. I saw and I watched as the grocery stores were being accused of price gouging, especially on Amazon with private sellers. Yeah, you want toilet paper? $200. Be wise if you have the money and have a stockpile for yourself. Stuff that will last, that doesn't go bad. Rice. Things like pasta and that type of stuff. Oatmeal, of which I eat both of those, but I'm gonna have to pace here, and then I'm gonna regain my thought and keep on this. But I just want to say this first. Yeah, just give me a sec. You see, I recognize already. I don't think I'm special. I recognize who Donald Trump is. I recognize who he is. He's from the bottomless pit. 9/11. Trump, 45 and 47. 4 plus 5 is 9. 4 plus 7 is 11. 9/11. Go read Revelation 9/11. And then he was given a key to the bottomless pit. And who's in there? Abaddon. I don't know if that means anything or if that's a way for God to tell us something, but I already know who he is. What makes you think that the black horse isn't riding already and has partially ridden? If you ask me, so I hope my screen doesn't shut off here. Good. Let's look at the second seal. When he opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature say, "Come and see." Another horse, fiery red, went out, and it was granted to the one who sat on it to take peace from the earth, and that people should kill another with sword, and it was given to him a great sword. If you're looking at our world right now, and you don't see that peace has been taken from the earth, Ukraine versus, it's the West versus the East. Do you get it? They just found Chinese soldiers. They captured Chinese soldiers. I'm not kidding you. I think this was yesterday. Chinese soldiers now. They're all getting ready. We're all getting ready for World War III. Do you get it? Everyone is. That's all it says. Peace taken from the earth. In my university, I'm doing studying, and it was a 2017 book that said, and they thought it was big then, there were 49 active conflicts on the earth. Now there are, well, when I checked last, there were 149. So you have your proxy wars going up in there, east versus west. Like, it's firing up. You look in like the Philippine Sea, you see China and Taiwan, the US against China in those seas, Japan, the Korean Peninsula, the war in the Middle East. They're just about to bomb Iran, break the bow of the lamb. I don't know. Peace has been taken from the earth. Not only that, but you're seeing inner conflicts within countries, ethnos, right? You're seeing people against people. When he opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, "Come and see." So I looked, and behold, a black horse. And he who sat and had a pair of scales in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four living creatures say, "A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius. Do not harm the oil and the wine." Of course not with the rich. Do not harm that oil or the goods. Now, people are going to say it's going to be so much worse. You don't understand. And I do understand. But what you're missing is the start of it. That's what you're missing. You're not discerning that correctly. It's happening in front of our faces. Prices have gone up. Many things triple, quadruple. Rent increases way up. I'm lucky to have gotten here when I did. They're filling our countries with immigrants. I have nothing against them, except the ones that cause violence. But they're choking up our hospital systems and making it unaffordable. People can't even afford a home. They have no hope. This is what's happening in the West. Do you think it's a coincidence that they're letting people in every single Western country? My country has let in the most per population of any country in the world, Canada. I went to get my license the other day. Thank God I got it. And this was a predominantly white country. Now, we've been multicultural all the time, and it's worked real well. But to go to the DMV, the only place in all of Ottawa for some reason, to go for the driving test, I'm not kidding you. Of 120 people, there were five white people. How am I supposed to think about that? This is what's happening. You know, everyone deserves equal opportunity, but this is what they're doing to us. They're not vetting these people correctly. They're not, you know, they're not bringing in young people where they can have children and help and you know, in any case, this is what's happening in the West. And the biggest example is to look at the United Kingdom. And I also understand that 93% of the UK population is not Islam. It's just in the big cities, but it's a big wake-up call. So don't believe all the stuff you see on there, on the internet about that. It's 93%. In any case, I saw that just yesterday. So what I think is, so let's take a look at the first seal, and I'll come back to these tariffs. I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard one of the four living creatures say, with a voice like thunder, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a white horse, and he who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went out conquering and to conquer. So, a crown was given to him. What is crown? I forget if it's Hebrew, Greek. It would be Greek, I guess. Corona. I don't find that to be a coincidence. Not at all. Our world is not the same. You well know it. So I do believe something happened when this virus came. Absolutely. And actually, to tell you the truth, I think people would have bad discernment if they didn't see that something has drastically changed. And to say that that doesn't mean something biblically, I don't know. Keep your interest up. So let's talk about these tariffs. Just give me a little break here for a second as I'm eating. There's a lot of people saying that, oh, you know, there is a method to this madness, and maybe there is. I cannot believe a single thing that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth. He says one thing, but it tends to be something else. Ever since I understood who he was, you can go back and track the things that he said, whether they're true or not. If you're a Trump supporter, why wouldn't you to test if the things that he says are true? Because why would you support a liar? I'm not a tariff expert. But from what I understand, watch the video of this man talking about it's a controlled demolition of the United States. It certainly looks like that. When he took office, things were starting to get better, right? Why were they getting better? Not because of Joe Biden, but because of the rise of Trump. And people knew he was going to win. The markets always follow those types of things. And people are going to say, well, you know, they're going to try to bring back manufacturing jobs. Do you know what that'll do to you? So if China has all the manufacturing, you know, most of the goods that you and I enjoy, and you see what happens is they eventually start making their way up to the middle class, right? And things in China are not as expensive as they are here, right? Of course not. But they start enjoying a certain wealth, right? And then you start moving to places like Mexico and Vietnam and stuff like that. But I think what this guy says is, you want to pay $10,000 for an iPhone? because this is the way it used to be when, you get a satellite phone or something way back in the, whatever, say year 2000 and before. People think he's going to bring these manufacturing jobs back and it's going to work, but all that's going to serve to do is enrich the rich. I don't know exactly how, and that's why I ask you to watch this guy. I do believe that, and I do understand it, but it takes a long time to explain it, and I'm just not that studied in that. So I ask you to watch this guy and hold your judgment of him and just listen to what's being said. And here's the antithesis of what I'm saying. He may appear to be doing this. There is a method, and all the people are coming and they're trying to negotiate with him. Okay, that's whatever, But I believe this is bringing on the black horse. You can think about all these things and tariffs and all that. That's all they're talking about on news channels all around the world. It's bringing a lot of stress, and you know what? I studied myself World War II, not professionally, just on myself for a number of years, and I understand that what it looks like right now is the exact environment before a war, both World War I and II. Not only that, but we're in a war right now, if you can't see. And it's a much different war. It's a proxy war to keep it away from those main lands of China and the US and all the Western countries. I don't know what else to say, but you know what? If one spark goes off, we put our trust in Jesus Christ, right? If just one thing goes off, there's so many things, so many moving parts right now that the likelihood that one spark goes off that just causes so much anger is bound to happen. And then we're going to have World War III. We're right on the edge of that, okay? There, I'm saying it. We're right on the edge of World War III, the real World War III. I believe that they would try to start doing it by not using nuclear weapons, which you can see right now. Will it start in Ukraine? Who knows? But it appears that's how it looks. We'll see. Anyways, guys, we that. I understand people are going to say that, it's okay. So this is what I want to say. It's going to get to the point where that I think Trump is bringing it to the point where it's going to go to the rich people, all the money, all the taxes, these tariffs and all this. And people will be in such desperation because the population in the world is so high, but especially North America, because this is where a lot of this stuff is coming from, that they're going to bring out the mark of the beast. No man can buy or sell because everyone will be bankrupt and they'll have no money. And this is where we're going to have to endure and not take that mark. Yes, I absolutely believe that. I'm not saying this is exactly what's going to happen, but I believe I believe that you and I are going to face this in our lifetime. Look at it, man. We're like 2 seconds away from major wars. What's going to happen if they hit Iran? What does Iran have underneath? We don't know. And listen to this. I believe they have a bomb. Why? Because I just heard the other day, and I heard this many weeks ago, that they measured a 4.3 or 4.6 Richter earthquake in Iran that was unnatural. I don't know if it wasn't on a fault zone or something like that, but in any case, I heard even further evidence that confirms it to me. Underground testing, that they shut down the airspace in that area. They're 2 weeks away. They're a month away. They've been saying that for a number of years. I'm sick of hearing that, but I also understand that they do have spies in there. All you and I can do is just put our faith in Jesus Christ. And so I wanted to try to explain this the best way I can. I don't understand tariffs. I don't want to understand tariffs. I mean, like, you know, study it and be able to present it to you. Watch this video of this guy. I'm going to leave the link. If I forget the link, I will let me know, because I'm going right to my studying. I'll upload this. And anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Pray for my face, please. Got a sinus infection, so yeah, I said a lot more than I thought I actually could in this video. I thought it would be short. God bless.